What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to LTH. My name is Abe and I'm your host of how to set up a HomeLab, and in this video we're going to cover how to set up the Homarr Dashboard 1.0, the new one. And if you've already followed my series in the previous episodes 13 and 14, I showed you how to set up the old version of Homarr, and this video I will also cover how to set up the new one and export your old dashboard to the new one. So this video is for either or. If it's your first time setting up Homarr or upgrading to 1.0, this video is for you. See, this is editing Ape here. I just am going to put this in the video, initial or upgrade. So you can always know if you should be following the steps that are on your screen in the video if you are setting this up for your first time, or if you're upgrading from a previous video in our series, you should be doing the steps on the screen. If it shows upgrade, if it shows both, you both should be doing it. I hope that helps, and thank you for watching once again. And I will tell you when you can skip a step depending on if it's your initial install or your upgrade install. And I will show you how to connect your Proxmox machine's analytics to your dashboard. This is our old dashboard. I will show you how to export that to the new one. But we need to first create a second virtual machine for Homarr for our new initial install or for the upgrade path, either one that you're doing. So I'm going to name this Homarr 1.0. Go to next. I'm going to download the Ubuntu server as normal. Next, the disk. I'm going to put this on my Zeph cluster that I showed in the previous video if you're following our HomeLab series. If you don't, do your local storage or whatever else that you would like. If you also want to learn how to set up a cluster and do live migration, go watch that video. So I'm going to do 2 cores, 2 gigs of RAM, leave the network the same, click finish, and we're going to wait for this to populate under console. And then I'm going to start this and do the initial install of the Proxmox, of the Ubuntu server. If you're familiar with this process, you can skip to the timestamp down below in the video. The only thing you need to ensure is that you turn on SSH during the install, okay? Okay, so if you have never done this before and you have not skipped to the next section, we're going to do English, continue without updating, done for keyboard configuration, choose the type of install. It's going to be Ubuntu server, and then we have our IP address right there, so I would write that down in your notes. For our course, we're using Obsidian. I'm going to click done on proxy, and then at this mirror configuration, we're going to wait for right here to showing that the mirror test was successful, and then we can continue on. We just want to know that our machine can reach the internet and get updates for our machine. That's very important. So under the guided storage configuration, since this is a virtual machine, it only has access to 32 gigs of our storage, and that's fine. We're going to use the whole thing. So I'm using my tab key until I get down to the done button. Click done under storage configuration, click my tab key again for continue, and then right here, name your server, whatever you need. So your name for the user, I'm going to do just learn. My server's name, I'm going to do Homarr 1. And that's how it will be seen on the network to other computers. And then pick a username. I'll do learn again. Type a password. That will work. And click tab again. And click done. Continue. And right here's really the important part. SSH configuration. I clicked enter. The X populated. And I do tabs to get down to done. And I skip by clicking tab on this field. I'm not going to install any more features. Click done, and then this will take maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes to update depending on your device. Go ahead and pause this video and come back once yours has done installing. Okay, so we can see that now the reboot has appeared. I'm going to click tab twice, click OK, and then we're going to see, because this is a virtual machine, a failed to unmount CD-ROM. That's okay. We just click enter and it skips that. It's because it's a virtual machine and there's no actual real CD-ROM to dismount in this case. And so once this reloads, I'm just going to go ahead and log in. If you do not remember the IP address during install, you can grab it right here. You can also see it just appeared on our screen there for a quick second. But what I'm going to do while it's actually loading is I'm going to open CMD with my Windows key, type CMD, I want to make this big for you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 will do this time. And then once you see this end of SSH host keys, you're just going to click enter, type your username, type your password, and then your IP address will be presented right here. So I'm going to go over to CMD, do SSH, the username at the IP address. So 192.168.50.231. And then it's going to ask for a fingerprint. You have to click yes. It will not let you in if you don't. And then you type your password and it lets you in. I'm going to do Control L to clear my screen. And now we're going to get on with the commands. All these commands will be linked down below on our website. And then we will be able to get going. So, before we start this, or you know what? No, we're going to continue with this. And then I will show you the other so I can just get both of y'all out of the way if you're the new guy or you are the updater to the 1.0. So this is just going to add the official keys for Docker like this. And once that's done updating and we get the latest Docker repo, we're going to install the latest packages for that with this command. So this is, doing an apt-get for Docker CE, CLI, and container plugins. And then if there's a capital Y, you can just click enter, or capital N. That means it's the default, right? Whatever letter's capital. In our case, we want to install, so we can just click the Y. If you'd want to do no, you'd have to type the letter N because it was not the capitalized option. Hope that makes sense. And once this is done up or downloading, we're just going to verify that Docker is running with a simple run hello Docker command. So we are done and we are going to test, and we just need to give it a minute and we are good. So it checked the SHA hash, it checked the image, we made sure we're on the latest, and if you see this hello from Docker, we know it's running. If yours fails to run, I do have some commands that will be linked on the website that you can follow to test your machine if it fails to load. So the next thing we need to do is install Docker Compose. So I'm just going to do a sudo apt install Docker Compose. Once again, I can click enter because that Y is capital. And then after that, I can check the version of Compose to make sure that it installed correctly, and it did. So we can move on to the bread and butter here, which is actually setting up the new Homarr 1.0 dashboard. This, we will use a nano Docker, or we're going to use the nano command. This opens up a text file automatically and creates it. And so I'm going to right click from the command notes on our website, which once again you can find linked down below, but this will actually create the container Homarr. It grabs the latest image for it, it creates some volumes for it, and it verifies it with its secret key, and it will create this over port 7575. So when we go to our browser, if you're like, how do I know what it is? You know that it's port 7575 because of your configuration file. So I'm going to do Control X, the letter Y to save the modified buffers, and then enter to write to that file itself. And now I want to start/make sure that Compose is running. So I'm going to do sudo docker compose up -d, and we can see it will now start a machine and download everything related to this specific Docker Compose image. Okay, and we are good. Okay, so right here is the part where this is going to start to differ. If you are new, you can create start from scratch, or if you are old, you're going to import. But first, we need to do another thing, which is create an API key. So if you are old and you have also already created an API key, you can skip to the next part. If you're new, you need to watch this. So we are going to create an API key that gives us the, will allow us to get these analytics from our Proxmox machine. So the first thing you need to do is navigate to data center of your machine at the top left, expand the permissions groups like this. So you have the downloads, and then click on groups, click create group button, name it something informative. Like I'm going to do video Homarr API, just like this because it makes sense. And then I'm going to click create. And then I need to go back and click the permissions folder itself. Under there, we need to click add group permissions. And then we're going to give them the path of everything. The group is the group name that we just created. And then they need PVE auditor as the name. And then propagate needs to be checked. So I click add. And then we need to go to users, just like this. And under users, we are going to click the add button. And then you need to name this user something informative. I'm going to just do video Homarr user like this. And we need it to be Proxmox VE authentication. Give them whatever password that you can remember. We need to give them back to the group. Okay. And then we need to click add, but it looks like I may have fat fingered and our passwords may be off. There we go. And I'm going to click add. Okay, so then the next thing we need to do is expand. If you have not, once again, click the API tokens, click the add button. The user needs to be from the step above, right? So we just did video Homarr PVE. And then we need to give it the token ID, something informative or purposeful. Whoops. I'm just going to do Homarr. Token ID. Homarr 1. Or you could do Homarr video. It really doesn't matter. And then we are going to make sure privilege separation is unchecked and click add. Now listen, right here, this is the only time it's ever going to show this key. So copy that key into somewhere, right? Into your notes, okay? And then once you've copied that key, because it only shows it once, we are going to go back to the API tokens So go back to the permissions menu, and then we're going to click add, or click API token, click add. So go back to the permissions menu, click add API token permissions. There we go. API token permissions. I don't know why. That was confusing my brain. I'm going to click the /. The API token will be from the one we just created. And then the role will once again be PVE auditor, and propagate will be checked. And we will click add. So now, if you are at this next part of the video because you've already created your API key, I'm glad to see that you are back. Now, we are going to be talking to the individuals who already have the old dashboard. If you're new, you would just click start from scratch, right? But for the old guys, we are going to click over to our old machine. You need to go to your user, go to manage, okay? And so once you go to manage, let me go up here in my notes. We need to go to the settings, we will go to tools, and we will go to migrate. Right here is where you're going to export your data. So click export, you need to click keep on that file, and you need to copy that key to somewhere. So I'm going to add that into my notes. Migration key is what I'm going to call this. And I'm going to type that out. So you're going to click import. You're going to go to your computer downloads, click your migrate Homarr folder, click open, and then we're going to import everything, right? So in this case, it's like, migrate this file. Is there anything you don't want to migrate? You can choose. We're migrating everything. Click confirm, and this is where you are going to paste that token. Okay, and then we're just going to click confirm. And once that is done, we are going to then continue. We're not going to change any settings. And then we are going to go to the default large board, and you will need to log in if you were old with your old username. Just like that. And you will see we are now in. Now, if you're new, there would be no dashboard, right? But we can just go to configure, we can go to boards, and we can see that we have our default board, and we can set this as our home board, right? Our old board, just like that. Now, if you are wanting to add integration, because you are the new person or the old person, this is how we are going to do it. But there's a couple things we need to do. First, we need to grab the certificate from our machine. So if I go over here and I click on the node at which Homarr is hosted on, and I go to certificates, we need the root certificate. So you can click view certificate, raw certificate, and we need to copy this to a file, okay? So in order to do that, I'm just going to open up a notepad. And in this notepad, I'm going to paste the certificate, click file, click save as, and then under my downloads, I'm going to just name this Homarr we'll just do Homarr cert.crt. You need to have .crt in the file name. And then in your new Homarr dashboard, we're going to click our name at the top, click management, go over to tools, go to certificates, add a certificate, grab that from our computer, and click add, just like that, okay? So this certificate will last for a super long time, which is great. You probably will have this thing nuked by the time that goes away, and that is that. So if I go in here to my apps, if you are old, you can edit an app, or you can start this from the top, right? So you could edit this and come in here and add anything that you need to, or to fix any IP addresses. But in our case, we're going to do new app, and we're going to do LTH video for the new guys, LTH video Homarr, and then the icon, you can just type in Proxmox, whatever color you want, and then the URL. So in our case of this machine, we are going to do this URL just like that, and click create. And so now we have LTH Homarr just like that. And we need to then add an integration for this one under the integrations tab. So we can see that we can add a new integration or edit an old one. So if you need to edit your old one, you can do that in here. But we are going to show you how to do it because it's the same thing with a new one. So you're going to name this Proxmox. You're going to add the URL again, right? Whatever one you're doing. And then here's the username and the part that people are getting confused on, I think, with the new version of how this works. So let me show you how to find, or how to now disseminate, the new integration method. Okay, so what we're going to do is go back to our machine. You are going to grab the, or you're going to go to the data center API token, and right here kind of is the useful part for you, right? You're going to grab the username from there and the token ID from here. So if we can see in here, ask for a username, and under API tokens, we have a nice nifty username like this, right? And so I'm going to type that username there, and then we can also grab the token ID from right there, and then the API key, once again, was that key that you could not regrab. So you need to make sure that you have that in your notes somewhere and you can type that there. And then the realm is also a little confusing, but there's realms here, PVE and PAM. If you remember from what I said earlier, Proxmox VE authentication server is what we were going to use. So you can simply just type PVE for the realm and click test connection and create, and it worked. So those are the two important screens. API tokens and realm will answer your questions on top of also needing that key. And it is in here. So if I go back to my Homarr dashboard, if you are new, you will click the plus sign and click a new item. You will go down to system health and monitoring, click add dashboard, edit the dashboard, edit the item, find that integration, click save changes, and it will populate. If you are on the old dashboard, you can click the top, click the edit item, go to the fix that you created, click save changes, and they will be in there. So I hope this makes sense. I hope this wasn't too overwhelming, but that's how you set up a new dashboard, and that's how you set up an old dashboard updated to the new Proxmox with certificates. Thank you for watching. My name is Abe, signing off this video.